So this is a K1 Technologies billet crankshaft. This is what $1,500 will get you. Now this crank is a little bit different than the one I have. I have Manly, which I will compare later once I get the engine out of my car. But I wanted to show you guys how it is. Um, Honestly, I'm impressed. First of all, we've got knife edges. Not very sharp, obviously, but still, this is very nice. That will improve the oil slash, uh, less slashing, so the crankshaft should struggle. Now, if you look carefully, these counterweights, they're actually very interesting. So this is something so they drilled a hole that goes all the way through this by trying to reduce the weight. I believe every one of these has a hole. I wonder why it has a hole in here, but the interesting part is what I'm noticing is how they drilled this. Now look how they drilled this. So the hole is here. So this is a lot of precision work because you had to pick a certain angle in this crankshaft, drill this hole. Now this is what's called direct oiling. You got one hole that enters from one journal, exits on the other. Now, here's the interesting part. So, I've noticed so this hole fits this. The journal. Then this journal fits this one. This one right here does not fit anything. And I think the reason they did that is because they wanted to have more oil. If you look at it, they wanted to have more oil on the side thrusters, which is actually very interesting because if I remember correctly, my stock crank, I mean not stock, but my Manly crank actually has two holes coming out of here. So this section loses oil, I would say. So not as much of oil wants to come out of this area versus feeding these two, but I'll show you later. I'm pretty sure mine does not have a hole. I mean, it has two holes in here. Then you got this journal, which fits this one. You got this journal, which fits this one. Now, in my crank, the one that failed. Oh, another thing. Before I go more, they actually balanced it. This was already pre-balanced. There's two holes right here, so they balanced this out. Long story short, definitely this is like ready to go. The one thing I will definitely do still is I will take it to a machine shop just to make sure, just to make sure that it's okay. Let's see what's up in the back. And this is how the back looks like. Which is very nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, got 7 holes. I wonder if this hole right here is actually another You know that's for. Very interesting. So I'm speechless. Honestly, I'm surprised they stopped making these. As far as I understand, I ended up finding one on one of the websites. It's kind of hit and miss, but I wasn't expecting them to have it, but they had it. They had it in stock. Um, I heard good history on these cranks, and yeah, this is exactly what the billet crank looks like. Look at it. It's all straight. It's all machined. Every everything was machined, as you can see. And then when I pull up my crank, I'll show you the difference. But you can see everything is shaped. That would be a good word to say for this type of machining. Yeah, I'm very curious how it's gonna run. Very curious. But they say that straight oil shooting is actually the best for high RPM engines. So this right here, this crank, is designed for high RPMs. Now, I don't know where the key is for this. I don't know if it's in the bag or what, but yeah, I'll check it later. This is the number that I got. I wonder what the other numbers mean. BS 033C88 2101 C14 003 K1 Technologies. Yeah, so this is actually a real 4340 billet steel, and yeah, I can't wait to start my new build. I need to hurry up and hmm, like I said, I need to hurry up and see is it actually balanced. It wants to fall, right? Hmm, interesting. Yeah, it wants to fall down on this side. So I'm questionable about if it's actually is balanced. Because if it's balanced, wouldn't it stay? And it's staying this way. Maybe because of my floor. It's definitely staying. Oh, well, what do you know? Because if the crankshaft is balanced, it should. Okay, that's good. If the crankshaft is balanced, it should stay once you place it. That's staying, so I'll probably have just a shitty floor. But if I put it this way, will it balance itself out? And it does. If I put it this way, so I think it's balanced. This is how you can tell that it's balanced because look, it's no matter what angle you put it in, it stays. It's actually balanced really well. So yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I'm happy about this crank to be honest. Now the Manly has the crank too, about the same price, but they are not doing straight shot. I believe they're not. So This is gonna be very, very, very interesting. I'm very surprised they drilled a hole through this. Like, at least in my mind, you would. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's don't matter, but that's kind of that's kind of wild. We have a hole through the whole freaking thing. I do know. Actually, I don't know, but I'm gonna have to find my scale and measure it because I think it's about 30 pounds or something. It's it's not even that heavy. It's kind of crazy, but it's not even heavy. But yeah, I'm gonna place it right here for now. This is what K1 crank looks like. Um, the reason I'm making this video, I should have said it before, is because when I was searching for stuff like this, nobody shows you the kind of stuff. Like you don't get this kind of information on the internet or forums. Nobody shows you exactly what K1 crankshaft looks like. It's not a thing. And and this is like what box it came in, and it was really really packaged really well. It was in the bag, right? Then they had these styrofoams, and then it was boxed like in a double. It has the KY Technologies logo and everything. And then the store I bought it from had put it in a bigger box. So yeah, so that's gonna be very cool. I'm very excited actually. This crank. I'm gonna tell you right now, like if anybody would ever try to buy a manually forged crank, which in reality is not true. 4340 forging for the crank that I have. I would spend extra money and get something like this. But the problem is nowadays is this stuff is becoming inferior, and there might be more cranks like these out there, um, somewhere laying on the shelf in one of the stores. But I consider myself that I got lucky because right now billet cranks um, that are like produced right now, they're like up to like $2,000 or 2,400, which is what I'm seeing. Unless you go with Manly, which is like 1,700. But I would not buy Manly crankshaft ever again because it was just it wasn't really I wasn't really impressed with it. And they hide the little detail on the crank that I had. They put that it's forged, but in reality, it wasn't even forged. I mean, they still the grade of the forging. It was not what I was thinking. When they say forged, you're always thinking, oh, it's 4340. That crank does not state that it's 4340. It's just like mixed. So basically, speaking, that crank has some mixed up um, metals in it, alloys. Versus this is true 4340 in its billet. And when you see a billet product, like I said before, all you gotta look is how it's machined. Uh, uh, like you don't see any castings, right? You see that this is all straight. This is all straight. This has a shape. This was shaved down. What else? I mean, technically, it's just this area, and then it's very interesting how they actually shaved the weight off the crank, and If to think about it, that actually reduces rotational mass, meaning, probably not true, but like getting lighter piston rods will make it even better with this crankshaft versus having lighter rods with heavier crankshaft, right? Of course, the rods, really, the weight of the rods really comes down to the force that's hitting the bearing more of a, but definitely a lighter crank will make it easier to spin it. So, and yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, this is pretty cool. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this. This is the first part that I got. The next part is going to be, I'm gonna so so the crankshaft is that, but in here I don't really have a place to put this. But this is the head that I pulled out of my car. I let it sit so I can drain all the oil. But the reason I have it upside down is because in the future I'm gonna have to CC this. And if you look carefully at this, which is very, very interesting. Which is very, very interesting. So what's interesting in here is, so this part is kind of weird, but it's clean. Versus, well, this one is kind of clean too. This one's got more burn in here. This one, so this obviously when it sprays, interesting. So these two, when it sprays, clean it, right? But for some reason, these two. So what you're seeing right here is my bearings wore out and it was kissing. And you can see it was kissing the head just just slightly, just slightly. So obviously, yeah, and it was kissing on this cylinder and it was kissing on this cylinder. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is here is the fact that I need to see the head. That will make sure on um, so I need to double make sure on the volume, because I believe when I was building the engine I did a really stupid mistake, and that's something I couldn't really know any better. But this head is set to be, I wish they had the stamp or something on the head where I could, that would be nice if the manufacturer would put, like, what's the volume, just, you know but obviously that's not the case in here. So oh yeah, by the way, what you see in here right here is the rings, the gasket that I got with the steel rings that bite into the head. And this literally, like, it's indentured in there. So that means I'm gonna have to remove a little bit of material off of this head when I build new car. And that's kind of crazy, but that's pretty freaking deep. Yeah. I was wondering if I can actually, like, put the new rings in, and if they would just, like, match up with the with the slots in here, or you put the rings first in here and then flip it and put it in. But I don't think that's the proper way of doing it, obviously. And uh, passages. I'm just sorry. I'm not looking at the camera. What I'm looking at, I'm just like observing myself. But anyway, I needed to see the head because I need to find out what's the exact volume is, because in the forums they say it's 56 cc's. I thought when I did it last time, when I CC'd the head last time, it was around ish 42. So, and yeah, these are the marks of how much you can keep on removing. So we have quite a bit of material that I can remove on his head before I have to find and get a new one. So, but yeah, um, do we see there's something else interesting in here? Some kind of pitting. Kind of pitting. Guess it's from the gasket. The pitting. That's, that's very interesting. Like I don't see that pitting anywhere else. Some pitting right here. Yeah, that's like very constant. It's like in there. Like it's, huh? Yeah, yeah. It's like very consistent. It's more like a pattern, honestly. Like the gasket, probably. Yeah, the gasket. So that's kind of weird. But anyway, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna definitely have to machine the head. Kind of went off the track because I was just trying to make a video about the head. I mean the crank. But yeah, I'm basically with this thing. I'm just gonna have to CC the head. Um, see what the actual combustion chamber is, because I think so. What I was trying to say is because I think if this is actually in 50s, 56, 55, 54, I screwed up big time, because then my compression was like 7.6, because when I was purchasing the pistons, the correct uh, that's something I'm gonna go over later and I'll explain, because with cycle lister pistons, and so it's negative. Like for example, if you take negative 19 on their chart and take a positive 2, their negative is actually for the negative actually is for is from yeah, the negative is for the dome, the positive is for the dish. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. It's opposite. So the negative is for the dish, and the positive is actually for the dome. And on a calculator, it's opposite. It's negative for the dome, positive for the dish, and that changes the whole freaking compression ratio. So basically, when I try to figure out the correct compression ratio, it ended up being like 7.3, 7.60 to 1. Very freaking low. Explains my issues that I had with like throwing more fuel than I should. So I think I did screwed up with that. So anyway, long story short, I gotta buy. I'm definitely gonna buy the new pistons and the rods. I'm not gonna reuse the rods. I decided, since I already got the new crank, I'm gonna get the new rods and the new pistons, and just start fresh, nice build, and get everything correct, right. And I already know what gasket I'm going to use, because I really like this gasket, and I'm going to use it one more time. And the gasket name is Athena. It's composite gasket, and I'll show you later. But the material that goes in here, what you see here, is the stainless steel fat rings that go all the way around the combustion chamber. So the composite gasket is only meant to seal off all these holes, while the stainless rings are meant to seal off the actual combustion chamber. And with that, the freaking the way like it's holding it, it literally held it like it was O-ringed. But yeah, well, I think that's enough for today. That was just a little brief introduction to the crankshaft that I'm gonna use, and I wanted to share and show you people, as far as like if you end up building a car like mine, or I would should say the engine like mine, or an Evo engine in general, then this is what K1 crankshaft looks like. And if you find one, I would suggest to order one. And they have different sizes. I think they have 100 millimeter, they have 88, which is what this is, and they have, I believe, 94. But yeah, you will you won't be disappointed. Tell you that. I'm already like crazy about it. I can't stop talking about it. I just want to put this thing in my engine and see how the engine's gonna run. Um, but yeah, all right. Thanks for watching.